Good morning, everyone. How are y'all? My name is Philip, and I'm from Blue Collar Crypto. We're here again with another exciting episode. We're here with Filter Thought with Ophir Dow. So I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, talk to you about what he's working on, what the team is working on. So go ahead.
Awesome. Well, Philip, thank you so much for allowing me on your podcast. This is super awesome. So my name is Filter Thought. I represent Ophir Dow. What we do is we create financial products on the Cosmos. We've been building in the trenches for almost 2 years now. We started building a fully redeemable treasury, which you can, see on our website, ophirdow.com. When you purchase the token, you then have share the allocation of a specific amount of those assets that are held by our treasury. It's a revolutionary idea. The DAO itself was started partially by White Whale founder Sebastian. He pitched me the idea of building something like this as far as the financial products on top of either DAO, primarily DAO. Enterprise doesn't exist anymore, but on top of DAO, and after much trial and error, we were able to launch that product. And we also shipped recently. We also shipped recently bonds, so now you could do OTC bonds, similar to what Fusion is doing, but even better, because you could actually trade these and transfer them to other trusted individuals, basically like an NFT, because that's how they could be leveraged. So it's just very interesting stuff we're building over here in this space, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I can share a bit about myself. I've been a builder in the Cosmos for around 2 years with Ophir Dow. Prior to that, just standard software engineering. So like building in C++ and C and Golang, and just never really got into Rust and the Cosmos SDK until speaking with Sebastian and really getting the vision of what White Whale was doing, and saying, well, you already have a core team. I'm not trying to, do, like, you already have a product. Like, what else can we do? What else is out there? And seeing the needs of the market, seeing what people were doing on different dexes, seeing what was right and what was wrong. And then that's how Ophir Dow kind of came about, and just meeting all these cool people along the way. Outside of that, I write a lot of code, but I also am a cybersecurity expert. So when I'm not thinking about how I can write specific Rust code, I'm thinking about how I can review infrastructure and prevent people from hacking it. So I kind of blend those two backgrounds. And that's me.
Nice. So will you explain exactly what a bond is and how it works?
A bond, from my understanding, again, I'm not a,
finance guy.
This is not financial advice. This is how we start the conversation. Use money at your own risk. If you're gonna, bond is basically like a record of, hey, I bought this particular asset at this discounted of price with the expectation that it will go up in value. And that value is locked for a set amount of time by the person who issued the bond, and that's called the maturity. And you then can cash out the bond or this tender of value after the maturity date has passed.
Okay. So this is a great way for developers to gain access to capital without actually selling their underlying token, correct?
Correct, 100%. That was why it was built. It's like, why should you sell your own? Why should you sell your own token that you're trying to build, an innovative technology you're trying to steward? Not only just cheap, but also you're eating into your war chest. You have to build yourself a runway, and we are able to help you provide that runway. We say, hey, tell us what capital you're trying to raise and the amount you're trying to raise, and then tell your community. They'll always support you. It's not a shill. It's not a, do this for me because we promised. There's a deadlines for this. There's maturity dates and times, and there's this the distribution of those funds over time. It's in a linear fashion. So I think that model of trust is there, and everything's on chain and on the contract.
Yeah, it really like kind of protects the token holders as well. So if
Correct.
I'm a developer and I need to raise capital, but the only asset I really have is my own token at the moment, and I sell my token to gain capital to pay for upgrades or pay for help as a developer, then the token value that I own, all my holders, the price value goes down. And
Sure.
so in order to prevent that, you issue a bond and you say, listen, I'll give you this amount of tokens for, 6 months with an interest rate of, 5%, just throwing numbers out there for an example. I was lucky enough to participate in the crypto dungeon OTC.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Crypto Dungeon and what they're doing.
Great project.
It really is. So we have on the screen here, we have our X handle page.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm so used to calling it Twitter.
I still call it Twitter. I mean, that's just me. Yeah. X/Twitter. It's fine.
Yeah. So you guys are on the Terra Luna chain, or is it a? Okay,
it's on top of Migaloo. So
it's on top of Migaloo.
Everything's built on top of Migaloo. Speaking, we'll talk more about what we're doing on Terra, but right now it's on top of Migaloo, and our redeemable treasury. There are assets that are in the redeemable treasury that are on Terra, and then there are assets that are native to Migaloo. The idea is to centralize and make it easier for people to access different assets. So I didn't want to say, for this you have to go to Terra, and for this you have to go to Migaloo, and for this you got to go somewhere else. If we could bring it back to Migaloo and have that be the centralized place for ease of use for the user, that's great. But we love our strategic partnerships, and we will talk more about Terra in a minute here.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to visit the homepage now. So we're at the dashboard page, and we're looking at the analytics and redemption. So kind of walk me through the site and how everything kind of works.
Awesome. So I got to give a big shout out to our lead front end developer, Rish. He is the best. Phantom. He designed this whole setup with Merthin, our graphic designer. He designed the flow. So it's a unified wallet system. So you connect your wallet once and you can kind of go through all of our platforms. So let's say if you were to connect your wallet and you go to analytics, you'll see you could see the analytics for our treasury DAO. We hold a lot of different things. So if you let that load, being under the radar, a lot of it allows us to really build this tech. And has there been many redemptions? No, there's been 4 unique redemptions. But we're analyzing and we're recording all that data, and all that data, like I said, is on chain. If you hit the before we get off this page, a big feature of this page is if anybody was ever curious, like the redemption history. If you scroll down here, you can see all the assets, what they redeemed it for. And that's a snapshot really of what we were holding at the time. Those redeemable assets will change over time because the DAO itself is making different purchases of different products.
Okay.
And then again, that data on-chain data.
How does, let's say, arbitrage work? Like, let's say that we have a product that comes in and they bond their tokens for a certain USD value, and then all of a sudden that token skyrockets or has a major pump on it. What happens? How does that situation work?
So we're pulling a lot of these price oracles directly. So for the reflected prices.
Okay.
So, but also we're relying on, this is how strategic partnerships work. All that information is also coming from DAO. Like the treasury is a DAO.
Okay.
So there's like levels of safeties and controls there as well. Like, so the DAO votes on what assets we should buy. The DAO votes on what we should do. So a lot of that data is getting pulled from DAO. Great partner, and they, there's that circle of trust there. It's not a unilateral decision. There's people in our DAO that, we're voting and discussing what we should add and what we should do, and then we make props and people vote. And
Nice.
that's the nature and the safety in there being a DAO. And one person can't overwrite this. That's not how our DAO functions. Every member has a say, and if there's a member who has a strong opinion, it's the stoicism there. We can debate it and figure it out together.
So what is the total token supply?
So I was gonna actually, it's 1 billion Ophir.
1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And then, are you guys, is the Ophir, is it traded on osmosis, I'm assuming, or is there on White Whale Decks?
On White Whale Decks, yep. Trading on White Whale Decks. So you could actually purchase Ophir through our website. So everything can be done on our website. There's not ever a scenario where you can't purchase or get Ophir outside of our own website, and that's actually by design. I personally am. This is also a mobile first website, so you can go on our website via your phone and buy Ophir and redeem, and then be part of our ecosystem. I also hate having to go to 5 different places to do one thing. That's just me personally.
Yeah, and
keep it simple for the user.
Exactly. So as a user, I buy the Ophir token, and I go to DAO and I stake it on the DAO.
You could actually stake it on our website. Okay. So if you go to govern, you could stake, unstake, you get staking rewards, and the info tab there is just providing who's the staking, who's holding voting power. Like, we're very upfront, we're very public about what we're doing, and all the wallets there. But there is staking rewards. Connect your wallet, and you can stake and unstake. And again, we make it really simple to try to get access to our platform.
And the APY is paid through the revenues from the products of being redeemed and the OTCs offered, right?
Correct. So you're generating fees that way, and just on the tokens we hold as well. We want to get back to the community, so there's that too.
And if let's say that I buy tokens, I stake it, and then I have a financial crunch, or I need to, I want to rebalance my portfolio. How long is the unstaking or unbonding period?
Unstaking is immediate, and then you can redeem your position and get the underlying assets, or you can go on White Whale Decks and swap for Whale, from Ophir to Whale. There's also, you can go on Megaloot Command and bond, Whale and Ophir and get those rewards in that pool. So there's just a lot you can do. We're an enabler of financial opportunities, and we don't want to hinder those opportunities.
And to cast votes to check out all the proposals being offered, I'm assuming that's on DAO.
Yep, go on DAO, and if you're staking, you have that wait. So we abstract that away, so you don't have to go to DAO and then stake and then vote. You can just stake here and then just go to DAO to vote. If there is ever any interest, we can probably have some of the votes shown here that people can vote on. I mean, it's really if the community wants a feature like that. But I could talk to my front end guy to see if that's a possibility. But if you're already on DAO, you can just do it from DAO.
Okay. Yeah, I constantly check DAO for different proposals, different things that are
sure.
Just constantly just go on there and check it. And plus, I've got a bunch of the NFT staking, so I like to claim my rewards there too.
Right, of course. Love that, brother.
Yeah.
And then you selected the bonds. So this is our bonds. Bonds page. Again, we had the Ophir Degen or the Degen Bond Showcase or Dungeon. Sorry, I was reading it. The abbreviation Dungeon Bond Showcase. They were raised. They had a bond price evaluation of 0.011 USD. That's what they were trying to purchase per bond. And I feel like the system is fairly intuitive. An individual who wants to create bonds can create a bond. If you're the issuer of the bond, you get those rewards immediately. So as somebody buys, you get it immediately. There's no lockup. There's no freeze. You get it immediately. We do take fees, 2.5%. 2.5% to the issuer, but this is hot off the presses. We created a split maker and taker fee setup. So basically, if you're like, well, I'm the issuer and I want the maker, I want the buyer to pay those fees instead of me, you can slide that around.
Wow.
And it's really more to make more attractive bond offers. And more flexibility for your community. This came back from feedback working with other strategic partner DAOs to say, hey, can we modify this value so it's not hard set? And it took a little bit of engineering, but we got it to work. And it works perfectly. So that's coming out off the presses like tomorrow or the next day. Like it's in migration mode right now.
That's awesome.
So you'll be able to slide that around. And what that does for you is you could do a zero fee loan to the maker the issuer, and then let the buyer pay that, or the other way around.
Yeah. So you can offer a lower token price for the bond, but with the buyer paying for the issuance.
Correct.
Nice.
And it's like I said, it's automatic for you getting those fees. You getting the purchase of those bonds. You also can transfer the bonds. So say if I'm holding a bond, I'm like, you know what, my buddy really wants to get in on this. He doesn't have the capability or really the ability to do this. You can transfer it to him like an NFT, because that's how easy we've made this to be for you. You can transfer it to your buddy as long as you have this wallet address, and you could do that, or you could sell it on the resale market, which we also created. So you could sell that at a premium. So say you bought extra, or you bought something and you want to get out of that position, you could put it up for sale. Somebody buys it, you get that money, and then they get that bond that they claim because it's in their name now.
Okay. Nice. So status, I'm assuming, is the status of it sold out. Total supply, that's 2 Luna tokens. Is that what we're looking at?
Right. That's what we were, free Luna, just testing production. But
So maturity date is a date that you're able to redeem your
tokens. Make those claims. Right. Okay. And a couple safety things. If it's past the maturity, you can't try to resell that. You can transfer it to your buddy, but you can't resell that, right? But you could always claim. You could claim, but if it's claimed, you can't resell that. We want to make it fair to the users receiving it. We don't want you to get a junk bond or a junk bond that's already been claimed. That's unethical.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's a double sign.
Yeah.
So markup. So explain markup. So that's the last tab.
The markup tab is basically when we are pulling the price. So that's dynamic also, by the way. It's not something we hard code. So if we're pulling in the price of your token that you put up for pairing, and there's like some level of premium, it's either going to be marked up, like it's going to be more than what's on market value, or less. So if we look at the Dungeon Bond Showcase, when it was a certain level, it wasn't that net negative of a premium. But if the token goes down or up, like that's out of our control. But you could also provide that premium number to your users. So if you could just click create bond for me, I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if you're creating a bond, like I said, our website, super simple. We try to keep it simple. So, you could either mark it up or mark it down at a discount. You could do 10%. You could go mark it down all the way down to 50%, or mark it up all the way 50%. That's really your prerogative. but your list unit is really kind of, what you're listing or what you're, giving to your users. Now there's a list. So the safety here is, if you have an item that you want to have us to add, we have to come to us. There's a form and we could whitelist for you. There's a lot of reasons for that, primarily to make sure that everything is a fair and upfront. We don't want a random token that doesn't have any developer backing just being able to be put up for bond. But if it's a new project and there's a strong community, reach out to us and we can kind of have those conversations, right?
Okay.
You could either do like a 1-year bond. Okay. There's a form that they could fill out. And they could also reach out to us on the socials, Telegram or X. You could do a 90-day bond. You could do a year bond. A quick bond is like 1 hour. I mean, that's we left that for us to like do a spin around bond if we want to test something. But if you go to bond type, so you could vest. So you could do a custom bond. So you could set the dates, or you could do like a cliffed bond where it's maturity and it kind of ladders that up. So we do all that heavy lifting for you, token quantity, the bond denom, and all that good stuff. So those are the assets we have right now. And something I wanted to highlight: when you're staking with Ophir, your rewards are paid in wrapped BTC. Just so that our community is aware that those rewards are paid out in WBTC.
Is that XLR? I'm assuming WBTC.
Yeah, yes, sir. But again, on White Whale Dex, so like everything is centric to that.
All right, and then max duration, listed assets. So how would I get, if I'm a new project and I wanted to get my listed access or list asset, or maybe I'm a known product, that's IBC enabled. Can I just IBC enable the token here, or do I need to?
So you'd have to reach out to us, and then we could, add you to this list. Doesn't take super long, and then you could create your offer. The intention for that again is to create that partnership and have that conversation.
You definitely don't want some random token that has a billion supply or trillion supply and have no community, no nothing. It's just a meme coin, and then all of a sudden your users are not trusting Ophir Dow because they got burnt on a scammer. It's just sad, I really wish we can get rid of the scammers once and for all. But
I mean, if there's money to be made, there's people who are going to try to manipulate the system. So I wouldn't necessarily worry directly about that. But there's controls in place. Ultimately, not financial advice, but we are trying to protect our users, protect their interests, and make it easy for them to win. Like we're creating products that serve a need, and the need here is, hey, how do I generate equity? How do I make equity and make money for my project so they can continue on?
So as a user who's always looking for buying opportunities, if it wasn't for being in the Discords, I would have never seen the crypto dungeon bond. But like as an everyday user with a busy schedule, how is there like a notification? Is there like a spot where we can, receive emails when a new token's being
So some of that is on the communities that are issuing the bond, right?
Okay.
So some of that is that. But that's a great idea. Maybe I'll take that as a note. Maybe we can like blast out some notification or something like automatically through our Twitter or something that there's a new bond issuance. We do that, so we support our community. So if there's a bond out there that's like, for instance, Dungeon Coin, when they made a bond, we were the first to throw that on our socials and share that with the community. And I think there was also like a call, like the White Whale call, shouted out the dungeon bonds as well. So ultimately it's like a rising tide lifts all boats here in the scenario. So we're just trying to help our community.
Well, I see it as like I see it as, for me, as like if I'm a user and I'm looking for opportunities to buy bonds that that may be a well established or maybe a new token that I'm not part of their community at all.
Sure.
But I don't want to go back and check, the bonding page every day. You know what I mean? I want to be able to
Right.
just kind of be notified. Just like, hey, you have
Sure.
an opportunity here. And maybe
Sure.
a Discord, maybe, yeah, Discord
Let me
server
look at
maybe
that.
or something.
Yeah, let me look at that, and maybe we can come up with something.
So I'm down here at the dev tools. So it kind of walked me through, or unless you want to go over anything more with the bonds.
I think I highlighted the usability of bonds, and we talked about governance. DevTools is just really, hey, we're builders, and you could run queries, and you could check things yourself. Like this is more. This a lot of these were built for me, just because I was like, the command line. Let me like interact with some of this. So, but DevTools, if you want to run queries, and that's like heavy advanced users, but that was more for me and the development team than anything.
Okay. Nice.
But I could show you something on the homepage. If you click the Ophir icon and you hit buy Ophir. So we talked about buying Ophir. That'll take you straight to the White Whale page.
Okay.
And again, it's kind of that partnering ecosystem. So you can go Whale Ophir, you can go USDC Ophir, whatever you want, whatever they're allowing, you can go to Ophir.
Okay. See that? Perfect.
And then that's how you kind of go into our ecosystem and start that awesome partnership. And again, there's if you go to, I think it's app.migloo.zone, there's pools out there as well for Ophir. I know they've recently changed a lot of this as far as like their webpage. So let me just double check myself, because I know it's changed a lot. I'm used to going through the other way.
Yeah. So this page here?
Yep. And then if you go to, I think it's like staking. Liquid staking or liquid staking. Yep.
Yeah, Migloo just did a complete UI upgrade, which, I mean, if you guys were experiencing the old one and compared to this one's just amazing.
Yeah, I love the new one. Kudos to the team. Worked a lot, with the team to give they have people giving feedback, and I think they've done a bang up job. It's from personal experience, it's not easy to do this. Like, I think people think you kind of wave your hand and then you're like, it just works. It's like, no, the amount of development hours required to make all this work. Like, I don't know. As a builder, that's just how I see things.
I think the biggest hiccup in the blockchain community as a whole, not just with the Cosmos ecosystem, is user UI. Like, that's the race. Like, as soon as someone figures out how to get kind of like what Migaloo is doing now with basically change the tab to change the chain, and you can just IBC it from different chains. I mean, to me, that's amazing, especially how far we've came in so quick of a time.
Yeah. I mean, the technology, if you really think about it, is roughly only 3 years old.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, like, in 3 years, like, people were just sending these type of tokens to each other via command line? Like, it didn't exist. These platforms didn't exist. That's why Migloo is always on the bleeding edge of a lot of the technologies, and I mean, a lot of props to them, because it's not an easy feat.
It's a tall mountain. Like the UI in general is not it's a tall mountain to climb. Like, you have to integrate the user experience along with everything on the blockchain to make sure everything syncs in together. And you've got thousands of transactions, and the data oracles are pulling information so fast, and you got to make sure there's not a double sign, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's okay though. I mean, that's what it is there for. So I'll get you the direct route, but there is a Ophir Whale LP, and then you LP it. And then once you're done LPing it, you could, you can hold that for however long you want. I think, yeah, it's under pools. So let me get you to the route, and I'll show it off. All right, so the Ophir Whale LP, you add a position there. When it loads. You set the unlock duration to 0 days. I make that super clear when you deposit. Don't put like 150. No, it's not gonna 0 days. This is liquidity pool, Ophir and Whale. We already talked about how to get Ophir. So this is the pool you go into. Then you go back to command, and you could stake that, and you're getting rewards paid out. I think in the pool it's paid out in Whale. But this is just another way to you're not burning your asset here. And when it's in LP mode, like you're just earning. So just let it print.
Let it print. That's the tweet of the day. Let it print.
Let it print.
So walk me through what you're excited about with Ophir Dow.
All right, couldn't wait to talk about this. So we're doing we're doing a lending market. So what that means, I'll talk about two things. We'll talk about the lending market, and then we'll talk about the strategic partnership with Terra. So the lending market is basically the full loop. We have a redeemable treasury. We have bonds. What if you're able to put those bonds up for a collateral to then, get an asset, whether that be BTC, whether that be USDC, and actually you could use that because the value of your bond is locked in, and in that case you wouldn't be able to transfer it out. Obviously, it's set as collateral, but use that or put up your own collateral, whether that be your wallet or the value of some assets. Like we're kind of working through some ideas here, but basically it's going to be a better version of Ginkgo, which Ginkgo just forked Anchor, and I'm not a fan of that full model. Basically, we want to be able to we prioritize users. You shouldn't be able to get liquidated instantaneously. It shouldn't be like Ghost, where it's just like the liquidation engine told you you're liquidated because you're down by $100. Like that, logically, that's dumb. That doesn't make sense.
There was a just to cap on that story. There's a layer 1 that's on Ethereum that I was kind of playing with, and they had a perpetual contract, and they had the minimum leverage was 250x.
Wow.
And the
crazy.
Maximum was 1,000. And it's like, you might as well call that a slot machine, because
right.
Like that does nothing for the user except,
right.
Hurt them, because that just kind of feeds a gambling addiction.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this can, they're adjacent. Those are adjacent problems, and I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Crypto, not financial advice, but it definitely adjacent problems. But again, if you're doing smart and doing the right thing, it'll just print for you. But going back to liquidations, like I personally don't have the ethos. Again, I love what Kajira built. Hans is an amazing builder, like peak building, but I don't. The principle of the engine is not something I would partner with in my philosophy. So the philosophy that I hold is, hey, if you actually are partially liquidated or fully liquidated, you should be able to buy back some of that bag.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna implement like some form of buyback. There is a fee. So if you got wrecked for whatever reason and you can't pay back that loan, like you can't pay it back for whatever reason, we're gonna take a certain cut of that, because that's the kind of the risk in play here. But you can buy some of that back and not get fully wrecked. And a lot of these details we're kind of working through. But there are other platforms that do it, but they're just not on the Cosmos. So we're kind of mirroring other examples of people who've done it right, because there's nothing revolutionary new, but it's just different flavors and spins on it, right?
Right.
But it's more just it's more user centric, and being able to put different things up for collateral and using that. So that's my philosophy, is to be able to incentivize the user. It's not like Anchor where you could get over collateralized and, everybody buys USDC and there's nothing to go around. And then, yeah, you got great rates, but you don't have enough money to pay back anything, and you basically there's negative money. So
Yeah.
we're gonna avoid that problem and not deal with it, because we have bonds, because we have things that we could actually, hard assets that you could actually put up for collateral.
Is there a time frame where a user has to come in and say, yes, I want to pay this back, or is it?
There will be some time waiting. So basically, the way that it works is that it's kind of like, hey, if that ticker hits, and this is like, you're getting the alpha from my brain, right? We're just like
Right.
designing this, like, this is very early concepts for a lot of this. There'll be some like trend degradation. So if they have like, say if they just got the trigger to potentially be liquidated, it's like in a linear threshold. So like if it's 5 hours and it's like, okay, this is that whatever percentage, like I don't we're just trying to figure that out, what makes the most sense, right? But ultimately my commitment is to the user. Like, it's not going to be in 10 minutes you're liquidated like we've seen on other platforms.
Right.
That's just not going to be the reality. But also, holding the integrity of all of it. And the reason why we could do that is, A, we have a redeemable treasury. We have assets that are held against it. We have a means to kind of work with that user. We're not like auto liquidating you. So, it's not going to be definitive until you can't pay it back and you choose not to pay it back. Then it's like, sorry, these are the results and we provided you an out.
Yeah. I mean, we all know what happens whenever you borrow your assets, and, crypto market's very volatile, and we know the risk when we put up the bond, but having like a safety net on those days that are extremely volatile, where we're dropping 15, 20%, and we're like, oh, wait a minute, let me check my portfolio. It's only been like 2 hours. Like, man, I
Right.
wish I would have deposited more money. Like that grace period, that would save a lot of people from being liquidated and
Yeah.
give
So
give
there
an
is a grace
opportunity.
period.
Yeah, that's
And then
awesome,
after
man.
that grace period, it's like the control of those funds is, what will provide a percentage to stakers, and then gets held into a separate sub DAO for future consideration.
So will that be, and I'm about to get liquidated? Does the DAO come in and say, hey, here's the money to stop the liquidation, you pay us back, and if you don't, then we obtain the funds?
No, so you have to put up your own collateral. So like, say
Right.
if it hits a certain threshold and it's like your money, you can't physically pay that threshold, you have to actually pay. You have to pay back or buy back. So Ghost had that functionality. You would have to buy back a certain amount so that
Okay.
the engine keeps you liquid, basically. So it'll be you physically power out that buyback.
Okay.
Where the treasury and the bonds come into play is that, that's the ability to allow you to get money back after being liquidated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, it's not a charity here. Obviously, we're taking a cut. We're
Right.
just saying, hey, you're not 100% out your money. Pay back X percentage, and you have X percentage back.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's
And we're
only
still
fair.
working out. We're working out some of the details, obviously, but because of how a lot of these mechanisms balance each other out, it sounds like it sounds like it would definitely be a good model to start with. And don't quote me on the final definitive version of this. There's a lot of smart people working behind the scenes to kind of draft a lot of this. So if it changes or some decision is made because of a technical issue, like, you can only you can push the beyonds of the technology, but ultimately you have to stand on that technology.
That is true.
So,
that is true.
um, that's kind of what I'll say. So hold it with a grain of salt, but I share that to say it's going to be user centric. You're not, we are catering to our user and our stakers. The stakers are the lifeblood of this.
And you say you mentioned something, a second thing you're excited about.
So our bond market is currently will be audited by an external team for use on Terra. So that's going to be awesome. So all of our partners who are on Terra can make bonds and basically use those funds as they see fit. So we're really excited to provide that option to on the Terra chain. And I feel like it's going to be the first of many different projects like on Terra Direct.
So will there be a separate DAO for Terra, or will it all be under Migaloo's DAO?
So the great thing about DAO is you could have a secondary address for sub DAO for Terra. So we'll probably do a sub DAO. Calabi, who is our amazing architect for a lot of the business dev and how a lot of the flow works for this, is going to design that. But basically, it's going to mirror what we have currently, and all the same controls will exist. Like, we are very transparent on what's controlling what, and I feel like transparency is king, especially when you're dealing with other people's finance. There's not going to be an accidental, we forgot to put the controls in place. Like, okay, not sharing it, like that's just not going to be something we fall into, because these are very thoughtful or thought out processes.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of talking to Caleb on an interview, and then also he was in Texas, and so
Awesome.
we got to sit down. Yeah, we got to sit down and have a beer together, and
right
meet
on
in person, man. It was kind of
that's
nice.
Dope.
Yeah, it was real dope. We got to he was in my city, and he was probably about an hour and a half away, so it took me a minute to get there. But I met him at Applebee's, and we had some drinks.
Sweet.
And got to sit down and eat some appetizers and kind of share over our visions. And yeah, it was real nice, man. Great guy. I really enjoyed talking to him. He's very, very smart. Like, I think sometimes he's just when I was talking to him, I'm like, hey, you make these things like, you make me feel dumb sometimes, like just talking to him. Like,
no, he's a great dude. He's my partner in crime in a lot of this, and figuratively speaking, that is, like, he's my right hand man, right? I couldn't really design what we're designing without his input, and that's how valuable he is to the project team. And you got to realize that Ophir Dow came together organically. Like, it was just like, hey, here's an idea, and then all these people kind of came together. Like, it wasn't like we're recruiting people. Like, it all came together. We all put in our own money to make this work. It's not like it was like it's not a backed project. We didn't get any money from White Whale, like none of it. Like, it was all like built organically.
That's awesome. So do you guys plan on launching a NFT collection of any sorts, or do you have one available?
Also, there is an NFT collection, actually. The Ophir Orcas is already out. The Guppy DAO, shout out Guppy DAO, they made it. You can try to buy my NFT that has my trait. Trust me, if anything, I'm gonna try to be the first person to try to get it back. It was already all of it's already minted, but you can definitely buy it on the open market. I believe it's on Stargaze.
If you have my man's trait, send him his trait, please.
Give me my trait, please. Give me my trait.
Give me his trait. You know what I mean? A public service.
Yeah, please. We'll do some negotiations. But no, that's all about the platform, myself, and the products in the future, and our strategic partnerships. We're excited to do more on Terra. We're excited for the future. We're excited for White Whale Dex and what they're doing with White Whale X. Definitely BTC centric is where we were wanting to be, because most of our treasury is in BTC. So, I just love the opportunity to build. I'm a builder, and thank you so much for allowing me to be on the podcast to chill.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you for coming on. I really do appreciate it, kind of walking us through how this works and just kind of some final thoughts. Like if you guys need to create an OTC deal and you need to raise funds, please check out the website, get a hold of the team.
Let's go on the website right now, ophirdow.com.
Boom.
Yeah, ophirdow.com. Buy some Ophir, redeem it, use our project, stake it.
Now the NFT collection, that's on Stargaze?
That's on Stargaze. Stargaze, yep. Nice. Support the Guppy DAO. Buy some NFTs. Like that supports their project. We're big. I have some. I minted. Couldn't mint my own, but I minted. And I'm a big fan of supporting each other. Support what what JD and his team is doing. Support. We're all supporting each other, right? We're all in one big ecosystem. We have to all share it. So
I agree.
All
right. Well, thank you again for having me on the show. Remember, guys, this is not financial advice. We do not give financial advice. We only provide the tools for you to continue your research. You could lose what you put in. Crypto is risky. NFTs are risky. Ophir is risky. Just to remember to do your own research, and this is only a tool. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Please like, share. If there is a project that you want us to do an interview with, tag us on X. And thank y'all for joining in.